Hello, Hythe directors. This is Cheryl Campbell. I wanted to show you how to use the First Service Connect database so you can check out work orders and violation letters, delinquencies, owner names, unit numbers, and whatnot. So the first thing you need to do is to go to the correct website. And that website is hythe.connectresident.com. So I am now going to show you how that works. All right, we're going to the internet. I have it here just on a news page, and at the top I'm going to put in hythe.connectresident.com, and you get a page that says Welcome to Hythe Association. You may see a login on the top right hand of your page. In fact, you will if the page is wide. If the page is narrow, it will show a different display, and you'll go down here to log in. So there'll be a login button at the bottom or the top. I'm going to go ahead and click it here at the bottom. That is my username, Cheryl@hebel.net, and my password is ready to enter. You will need to get your password from First Service. Click Login. And you will be brought up into your own page, which says for me at 4026 Hythe B that I currently don't have an outstanding balance. So that's a good thing. The next thing that will happen is you will need to go to the top left corner, pick that, let me show you again, pick the 3 double bars, click it, and come down here to Board View. When you do that, you will first be presented with a list of everybody in the name, in the order of their last name. So it'll start off with the last names with A and keep on going. But you can change that, and as a director, I often find it useful to sort by unit address. So you just click this little down arrow here, and it will sort it either in forward order, as is shown here, starting with unit 1001, or in reverse order, starting with the last unit in Building C. So as you can see, there are 18 pages of these unit owners, and it is laborious scrolling through page by page, but you can do it. Now, the easiest way to find out what unit somebody is in is to go up to the top, and let's say I put in my last name, Campbell. There are apparently 2 Campbells in Hythe. One is Angela Campbell, living at 4013, and myself at 4026. Okay, and you'll see that you should have a little sign that says you're a board member, just as is shown by my name. But let's say you don't know the person's name. You actually want to know who lives in unit 4026. So instead of putting Campbell, I'm going to put in 4026, and David Heberling and Cheryl Campbell appear. Now, you might want to know why Marlene shows up in this list, and in all likelihood, she's got the number 4026 in a telephone number or an address field that we can't see. But again, if I put in the unit number, for example, of 1047, up comes Helene Harris. So this is a great way to find out who's in a unit. If we go to a unit I know has a renter in it, let's say 1039, you will see that the owner is a bank, and there are 3 renters listed at that unit. So it says owner, renter, renter, renter. Now, what's really helpful is if you click this arrow to the right of the owner, you will get a full history of what's going on with that unit owner. And I happen to have picked a bank, so I could avoid picking a person. So by having this bank, you can see this bank-owned unit, U.S. Bank Trust, has 3 violations against the unit. You can't see any more detail than that here, but you can see the last 3 violations, and I'll show you where to go to get more detail. You can also see the work order history that's occurred for this unit. All right, so this is a summary view. It doesn't give you much detail, but in this case, it tells you that the underage occupant violation has made it all the way to the attorney's office, which is significant. Okay, so let's go and look at something else. Now this is a particularly interesting one. If you click the account balance, it's going to tell you it's not available, and that is because the unit is in delinquency collection and is at the lawyer's office. But let's go pick another one. Let me look up myself, 4026. You can see that David and Cheryl are the owners. Remember, Marlene here is picking up on 4026, most likely because of her telephone number. But if you pick either owner, David or Cheryl, you will see the work orders and history on this unit. And you'll see a lot of work orders for me because they tend to get opened for other activities in Building B because I'm a director. You'll also see that there's an emergency contact listed for me, which is our daughter. What you won't see is telephone numbers, and unfortunately you have to call first service for that. They are no longer allowed to be displayed in the database. You'll also see that we have had a history of architectural modifications, hurricane shutters in 2017, and redoing of bathrooms in 2016, both of them closed. Now, if you go up here and click the other column, account balance, you will see that we have 0 monies due, but you will see our payment history. And you will see it goes from being paid in full to the maintenance fee invoice hitting the books, then we pay in full, the invoice hits, we pay in full, and so forth and so on. Now, what you will see is people who have not paid enough, meaning they've underpaid, you will see this balance continue to grow. It will not settle back down to 0. And so you will be able to find out just the amount of monies that is in arrears. So that's extremely useful, and people will call about that. They should call first service, but they may call you too. Okay, so now we're going to go to a different window entirely. Let's go back to these 3 bars, go back to the board view. All right, well, actually, the other way of doing this is click community. So you're in the board view. So you clicked the 3 bars, went to the board view, and clicked the word community. Now you have a number of interesting things to look at. The most useful one is going to be service requests and violations. So service requests with a wrench is for work orders, violations is self-evident. So let's look at a summary of violations. Takes a minute to load. You will see thus far this year there have been 8 violations opened. And it's early in the year, so it's January. We've had 8, 77 violations total last year, and a total of 589 on the books. So if we just click this year, the bottom part of the screen down here will fill up to show just those 8 violations. Okay? And you can click the unit column to sort them by unit. So if you wanted to know what the violation was for 1039, the first one in our list, you would see it down here. Still, you can't click it and get more details. But if you are trying to find a violation and to know generally which year it occurred in, this is a great way to find it. So for example, if I click last year's violations, and let's say the unit number was 2030, I sorted by unit. I'm going to keep scrolling down. I can see there is a couple of violations for 2030, both have opened in around December of 2021. So that's a start. And I can scroll right at the bottom of the screen and see one is an unauthorized occupant and an underage occupant. Okay, so you can see all the violations here, and you can see on the right side, leaks and plumbing. You'll probably see that a good bit. We have a lot of violations related to leaks. Now that doesn't mean the person is culpable. That doesn't always mean that it is a toilet break or a water heater. It means that we need to get in there and do a leak inspection, and that starts with a violation letter. Okay, so that gives you a summary of the violations, and we got to that by clicking this summary button. But if you want to hit a report, again, I'm going to go back to that bank-owned property. If you want to get a report, this is showing the violations from just December 20th. This is the last month. So you can change this date. Let's say we go back an extra month from November 1st to the present day, and I want to show all of them that are open. So you'll notice in this case the closed box is not checked. Click View Report after you've set your parameters, and you will be able to page through all these reports. So you will see here great detail about violations with tenants, noise, inspections of water intrusion, and whatnot. Okay, so we could go on. Let's go to the bank-owned property if I can find it. There we go, the bank-owned property. All right. This is a violation about hoarding. So if you open this violation notice, here's where you can actually read the letter. So if I click it, it'll give me an opportunity to download this PDF file and read it. And you'll notice there's the ability to charge fines for violations. We do not yet do that in this association, but when that day comes, we will be able to track the fines within this database. So, going back to the top of the screen, I've shown you violation summaries, violation reports, and violation details. This is where you can just pull up the violations per unit. And this is for the last month. So in the last month, there has been one other violation. You can click the little details here, and it again lets you click the letters from this menu as well. So several different ways to look at violations depending on whether you're trying to find it within the calendar year or whether you're trying to go to a specific unit number. So let us go to service requests. It's somewhat the same. If you go to service requests or work orders, you'll first see that 13 of them have been created thus so far in January. So you can click those 13. Now, when you click this box, what happens is it's updating the lower part of this window down here. So you can see the service request number. So for example, this first work order is 3084. That's one of the most recent. Okay. And that was a simple work order. Here's where you can see it. That last work order was work order, has the painting done, but the number still has to be put on the newly white parking spot. So this had to do with the parking spot swap. Okay. Here's a janitorial one, 3087. It's self-explanatory. There was brown gunk around the laundry machines, and it has been fixed. If you want to try to find a work order, let's say you know it happened in the last year, you can click that, you can scroll down, and then you can search by unit. So let's say you were searching for a work order last year for unit 2001. So you could sort there. Now it's all nicely sorted by unit number, and there you go, bingo. We had a work order in February 1st of 2021 for 2001 height A, and it had to do with a leak from the upper unit, okay? So that lets you hone in on the date of the work order and the unit, but now let's say you want more details. Go back. You're now back in the community screen again, and you're going to go to details. Let's put in unit 2001 that we just looked at on the summary page. Let's make this date go back to February of last year because we know it happened in February. So we're going to pull up all their work orders from February 1st of last year to the present. And there it is. It looks like we still have one that's open. It says it was received. That may be dormant, and we definitely have one that was closed. Here's where you can look at the details. The closed one is what we saw, checking out the leak. The received one is about drywall on the ceiling. Well, you notice since it's not done, it probably means that the unit owner elected some other surface treatment on their ceiling, and it really should be closed. But this is how you find work orders per unit number right there. Just make sure you set the unit address. Make sure you set the date range. And last but not least, you can run reports. So let's say I wanted to know about all the work orders that were open between December 20th and the present day. So I haven't changed the dates here. I'm just leaving them be. And In this case, it's only maintenance or janitorial work orders. Let's say I wanted, excuse me, no, it's not. Apparently that's all there is so far in this last year. So let's open up the time frame. Let's move it back to November of 2021 to the present. Okay, I'm going to make sure and say select all. That way we get maintenance, janitorial, and general maintenance. You have to click the View Report button. And then bingo, you will get all the work orders over a specific period. And it's a little confusing because you have to keep hitting this Page Advance button to see all the details. And really, there are a lot of details. As you go through this, you will be able to view all the things that are going on. Okay, and there's a lot. Now, the good thing about this is you can save it to disk by exporting it using this drop down, or you can send it to your printer by clicking this button here. So now what I have shown you again is the community features for work orders and violations. You can also look at the alteration permits that have been submitted, the packages rather. So let's look at a summary of the alterations that have been submitted. None so far this year, but last year we had 22 alteration packages. By now you should be getting the hang of it. It's dealing with the kitchen cabinets, entry doors, electrical panels, rear patios, fixing baseboards, installing kitchen cabinets, and so forth. You can see all the work that's been done. You can also see which ones were approved versus which ones have been received with no further movement. Now that can be due to any number of reasons. The unit owners can decide, nah, they didn't want to spend the money, or they couldn't get a permit. There's all sorts of reasons why things don't get completed. Again, you can go into the Details button. Let's look at 3010. I think that was one that was received and not completed. And let's see if it tells us any more. I'm setting the date back to January of last year. Okay, here's one that was received for kitchen cabinets but not proceeded. And it says the person is their own contractor and waiting on the board to see what is next. Well, I don't know that the board is owing them anything at this point, so I have to assume their interest in the job declined. The flooring one, however, was approved. And presumably at this point, they will do a closeout with first service. So that's how this all works. You can see an animal directory. We only have 13 ESA packages on hand. You can see the names of the animals, which I think is kind of funny. And I suppose that's helpful if you want to find out who owns Louie or who owns Lulu, for example. But that's where that stands. And I do not use resident inquiries or this one very often. Resident inquiries will give you information on logged phone calls. You can see most of it is about account balances or very general questions about how to do things. So again, how do you get to this page? The way you get to it is once you log in, you click the three bars, click Board View, click Community. And that's how you get to these special reports. To search for people, you use the directory field. You can either page through, you can enter the unit number or the name up here. You will not be given the telephone numbers of people, and you will not be given emergency contact telephone numbers. That is apparently a statute requirement. I think it's ridiculous, but that's the way it is. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. I highly encourage you to use this. And thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps. Bye-bye.